Morning panels. Welcome to our presentation entitled Computer Vision-Based Automated Crowd Monitoring System and Data Access in Case of Emergency. Automated crowd monitoring promotes a lot of advantages, especially during emergency evacuation. Person who is in charge of the counting needs to ensure that everyone in the building is accounted for and needs to report to the emergency authority. Even though the students or staff have done emergency drills and practices, it is not the same when the actual emergency really, because during the actual emergency evacuation, once the panic sets in, people tend to lose the ability to focus and soon they begin to behave irrationally, which results in the head counters unable to perform his or her role properly. Here are the related works. CCTV cameras are used for security purposes, mostly to monitor the activity of people within its sight. For face For infrared sensor, it is used to count person or people passing through it. Face recognition algorithm is basically a task of recognizing a person based on its facial image. RFID or radio frequency identification were used mostly for attendance. However, many studies relating crowd monitoring use RFID in counting people. RFID-based solution seems to be the best fit when which can count people with high accuracy. However, the RFID solution remains prohibitive as it incurs huge costs and requires extensive deployment effort. Combining ideas behind the related works, we came up with an idea to implement a study with the title of Computer Vision-Based Automated Crowd Monitoring System and Data Access in Case of Emergency. The study aims to solve the problems regarding the manual head counting during actual emergency evacuation and emergency drills inside the building, which remains prone to error, and to also address the problem of the person in charge of counting that tends not to fulfill their task during actual emergency evacuation, which results to lack of information that needs to be given to the emergency authority. The study aims to answer the following question: how to develop an automated head counting monitoring system that can provide the accurate number of people. How will the system automatically count the number of people? How will the system have the capability to monitor the entering and leaving of the people? How will the system provide the information to the emergency authority? The main objective of the proposed study is to create a head counting monitoring system that can be able to continuously monitor the number of people entering and exiting the vicinity and to gather the data need to compare for the verification process. The, the researchers uh, pick out a technology which is lesser in cost like image processing technology. Specifically, the study aims to develop an automated head counting monitoring system with the use of image processing that can provide the accurate number of people that pass through lines of interest. To use a centered tracking and LOI algorithm to monitor the entering and exiting of people, and also to test the system in such a way that it would provide an accurate number of people entering and exiting the LOI with a specific area, and data gathered shall be sent to a server for data access. The significance of the study is to create a system that will benefit the emergency authorities in verifying the total number of people during an emergency evacuation, which remains manual and prone to error. The automated monitoring system will help them to provide the total output in an easy way when it comes to counting of people, and in terms of time and trouble of gathering information from the people in charge to head count. The proposed study is more focused on its counting abilities since it will be used for head counting during emergency evacuation and drills. The researchers aim to test the system on this small scale. The camera that is used for the counting of people entering and leaving the vicinity is very dependent on its orientation or positioning and lighting. The automatic triggering system tied to current alarm system feature is for a continuation in the following research on the future, since the timer will only start once the triggering system is triggered, but as of now there is no triggering system used for emergency evacuation.
The conceptual framework. The conceptual framework of the system, as we can see in the diagram, comprises input, then processing, then going to the output. The input of our system would be a video feed. Then that video would be processed or analyzed with regards to the output the researchers wanted. This will be discussed further later. For the flow of methodology, we have prototyping. Then after we had the prototype, we deployed the system in order to test the accuracy of it. The accuracy of the system will also be discussed further later on. For now, let us focus on how the system or the prototype works. The prototype is mainly composed of CCTV IP camera as its major components, field RPI, and the RPI server. In the field RPI is where the detection system happens. The input, which is a video feed coming from the CCTV IP camera, would be loaded to a microcomputer with the use of Python. The video is read frame by frame and is then passed to preprocessing. Then detection will come into place. The method used for detection is the HOG plus SVM, or histogram of oriented gradients with support vector machine. HOG is a feature descriptor, while the SVM analyzes and classifies those features from HOG. We have chosen this method due to its great or good trade-off between speed and accuracy. This detection is applied to each received frames and outputs an array of line of interest or LOI in rectangular coordinates as seen in the figure to the right. After this stage, each content of the array containing the rectangular coordinates are iterated over and used to calculate the object's centroid and the bounding box, or the start and end. After that, tracking happens next. But prior to tracking, profiling every unique object is required to avoid confusion and tracking error, meaning treating different objects all the same. After profile checking, it then passes the iterating objects to user-defined boundaries or line that determines or tracks the state of the currently detected human presence. Output will depend on the number of human presence tracked. As we can see on the figure on the left, let us assume the green line the current state or entry, while the red line the new state or exit. When the detected object was initially detected from the green line and crosses the red line, it increments the count of entry and the capacity. After that, the data will be displayed on the RPI server continuously, which can be accessed by the authorized person.
The system was originally planned to be tested on the corridors of the Einstein Building of Malayan Colleges, Laguna, which is good for one academic term. This also allows easier access for researchers to conduct their study. But due to the pandemic transpired, the researchers decided to proceed with the results and discussion using experimental setups. Since mass gathering is not allowed as of date and crowd monitoring requires a number of crowds to be used as subjects, the researchers decided that it would be safer and convenient to proceed with the data gathering with the old videos they pre-recorded and videos that were extracted from public places in the internet. The researchers have gathered data from three different perspectives. This is due to the fact that the algorithm completely differs when change of its perspective, because the algorithm is heavily reliant on the computations that the user will give to it. This is one of the videos that we pre-recorded last second term. And this is another one of the videos that we recorded again last term. So, as I have mentioned, that we gathered data from three different perspectives because, again, the algorithm differs when change of its perspective. This is the case due to different areas, different views and regions of detections. The performance will vary due to the factors of lighting. It may be too bright or too dark, the reflection of shadows, or maybe the angle of or tilt of camera, the direction of where the camera is, sizes of people, and people with or without bags and accessories. These are the factors that the detection can be compromised with. But these can be mitigated when the system is specifically trained for an area. So after data is gathered, this data, when a trigger or an alarm is pressed, will be recorded and will be sent to the server. This is the GUI of the server. This data, whenever alarm is pressed, is then sent to the server for data access, in which the server records and saves a copy of the data over time, which can be used by the user in the future whenever he wants to. This is the example of the trial testing that we have done with the videos that we recorded. We counted the actual number of people passing through the lines of interest algorithm and compared them to the actual numbers manually. As we can see, the system is highly accurate when it comes to counting people or objects. So with that, we can conclude the researchers, after gathering data with experimental setups, the researchers have concluded that the systems that the researchers developed provided a reliable and accurate estimation of the crowd density using image processing. This was made possible by using the OpenCV language image processing that lets the system count number of people passing through lines of interest, based on the trials done and compared with that the system are gathered. In summary, the researchers do not need a high-resolution camera but at least 240 pixels to ensure smoothness of the system. The frames per second required is between 15 to 30 frames per second. Any more frames per second is just going to be heavy for the RPi. The wired or wireless connection to the server can be both workable, but wireless just has the chance of being prone to random lags. The researchers can also conclude that the more data for a specific data, the better the outcome will be. With the help of this prototype, it would create convenience to the person in charge for the counting of people leaving the vicinity, whether it is emergency or not. Although the objectives have met, the system's performance and design can still be improved. And this we come to the recommendation. We recommend to use a camera with average video quality. This way, it would have less frames per second and smaller bit rate, which further lessens system lags and improves video speed, and upgrading the Raspberry Pi 3B to Raspberry 4B Plus with a higher RAM so that it won't heat up so easily. Also, Training each RPI field detection system for a specific area will improve the speed and accuracy of the system. For future studies, we also recommend to tie the automatic triggering system to current alarm system feature so that when the real-time emergency evacuation occurs and the allowed person triggered the main alarm switch, then it would automatically start the timer for the system. That is all for our study. And we can conclude that that we have attained all the objectives that our team has been working with for 1 year. That is all. Hope you like this presentation and thank you.